Here he comes, here he comes.
Hey dude, I know you got cars sitting outside. Why don't you install me and you can get cars in here? I've been hearing rumors the mice are starting to get into them. All I need is a carburetor. That's all I need. Just give me a carburetor and I'll run and you can get rid of me or something.
There he is, there he is. Hey, Effer! We're still here, waiting for you to clear us out. Finish cutting us up. There's just one of us left and we just need to be stacked over there so we can dry out for winter. Come on, man, don't be like that. Come on. You're just gonna walk on by, huh? You're just gonna walk on by and you know you can't go get anything else until you empty us. I need to go to the dump. I need to go to the recycle area. Come on, man, just today. It's a nice day. Come on, dude, don't go.
I'm ready, let's go. All I need is that piston installed. Yeah, got it. I need a whole top end, but you've got it. It's sitting right behind you. Oh, yeah, there it is. Come on, man. All I need's a coil, I think. It's sitting in the mailbox. Just go get it. Put it in. At least let's see if that's what the problem is. Shut up.
Just like with anything else, we have relationships with our vehicles. And in the beginning, it's the honeymoon period. And so all you see is the potential, what it could be. And you start to work on it and try to get it to that point, and you have big wins. You have a lot of milestones. You're able to accomplish things and move it forward. But as you're doing that, you get a much closer look at the vehicle. You get a chance to look at it and dig in and see the other gaps. And you put those on your list of things that need to be done. And eventually the payoffs for those little things aren't as big as the ones in the very beginning when you had the dream of, if I just get this one last thing done, I will be good and I can start to drive it. No, well, there's always more to do. I towed this thing home with no engine in it. The grill was falling out of it. There was a torn up seat. There was parts inside. You know, there was a lot of issues when I got it home, and but I knew that if I just put an engine in it, I would be able to at least start to then dig into some of the problems. So we put an engine in it. We have installed a radiator and fan shroud. We have borrowed a battery out of the Alpha that we're using to start it. We have started to try to sort out through some of this wiring to determine what goes where. But we have yet to be able to start it with the key. It will crank with the key, but I don't have ignition yet to it. We did convert it to electronic ignition using a GM module, which is that, along with a heat sink. We have reupholstered the seat, so we have a moving blanket from Harbor Freight that we've used over the torn up foam. We've put a little bit more foam in there. We have installed the shifter, and it shifts through all the gears. We have cleaned up the interior a little bit. We still have to remove some of the grease, but I actually really like the way it smells in here, so that may have to stay, or we'll have to find an air freshener that does that same smell. Let's start talking about all the things that it needs. There is a large gap between the what's called the rag joint, and the rag joint is torn up. And so that rag joint is there to accept the differences between the body and the steering box, and allow the body to function, to move around a little bit on its cushioned mounts. It's got pucks underneath the cab. And so I have picked up another one, and I have it here, and you can see how these pins go through that metal piece on that other part that attaches to this. So we'll be doing that. That's something we'll have to do. We can't drive it until we get that done. The other thing that we have is, right now we have a crappy fuel throttle lever there that's just made out of bent metal. I've got it hooked up now and I'm using it, but I've ordered another piece for that. Alright, you'll remember that rag joint at the front that was not making good contact. If you'll notice here, if you'll notice the gap between where that mount should be and where it is, there's no bolt in here. Now I suspect that this side is exactly the same way, but let's take a look. And that is correct, it is exactly the same way. So the cab is moved back, and so it will need to be relocated forward, and we'll need to put some new bolts in there. When we go back here, we'll see that this one, it's really hard to tell on this one whether it's, oh yeah, it is, it's also the same way, and the cab is pushed over to one side a little bit. You can see how, and I'm guessing the other side's the same way, so that would affect the alignment of the cab to the bed. Now the bed, if you look here, it's been repaired. There's been some welding that's gone on here. Let me see what this other side looks like. I mean, that does not look good. So there's some repairs that need to be made to the frame rail and then also to the bed to reinforce it and to support it. So this truck has had a long life, and it's done a lot of stuff in its lifetime, and it is showing its age. Now see those? That's the way they're supposed to look. And then the others, all the rest look like they're pretty good. So that's some of the stuff that as you discover it, you just kind of get, okay, well, I've got to do something about this. So I also notice I don't have any emergency brake in the back. I've got the cable coming up here, and then from here we should have cables going back to the rear axles and then going into the wheel well, and that should be providing our emergency braking. You can see how the bed is hitting the body right there. I'm using the flashlight, but I can just let this thing do its own focusing here. But you can see the gap is wider at the bottom, and then it gets tighter at the top. So we could fix that by moving the bed forward, not the bed, the cab forward, and then properly mounting that cab so that it sits up a little bit higher. So that's some work that we've got to do. We don't have a fuel supply for this truck. We have a place where the fuel tank's supposed to be. We had a fuel tank, and it was full of pinholes, and so we're not going to be able to use that. Right now my plan, just being on a budget, is to use a boat gas tank and then just run off of it for a little while until I can either come up with a fuel cell that I can mount in the bed, or I can buy a new fuel tank for this. Now, one of the things about these trucks is that they have the fuel tank in the bed behind the seat. If you ever were to get in a really bad accident or roll the truck over, potentially you could have fuel inside the vehicle with you, and then that just wouldn't be any fun at all. So that's something that is a bit of a concern, but it's just something that you take into account. In 1967, 68, 69, 70, 71, that was just a part of life. That's just the way it was. So we've got obviously a line there. This looks like it's down, and so I'll have to, and actually look at that. So there's some work to do on the body. On this other door, for a fact I know that every time that I open it, this whole fender bumps and jumps. So let's just show you. Oh, that didn't do anything. But you can see that we're flexing the whole fender when we're doing that. So yeah, so we're behind the fender, so this fender needs to go forward. So there is a lot of work on the tires. So I was trying to determine when this last was on the road, and on the tires I was able to find a code date from 2012 on one of these Geolander Yokohamas, and so that would probably indicate to me that maybe 2012, 2015, 2020. The tread is pretty thin on them. And some of the others I couldn't find a code date. So, but that's at least an indicator that this truck's been off the road for a little while. So, what do I do next? Well, I need to fix that extra gap there. So I'm gonna have to put some jacks underneath this cab, lift it up, and try to move it forward to see if I can get back the proper alignment for the cab, put some bolts in it, and then replace this rag joint, this one right here. If I do that, then I've got the part coming for the throttle linkage. I can fix that vacuum leak. I've got an air cleaner for this, but it doesn't fit because it hits that distributor. but I've seen, and I have somewhere some little spacers that raise the air cleaner up. They're just plastic, and they kind of go up in the air, and it allows you to put the air cleaner up higher to clear the distributor. So I'll see if I can find those, but that would allow me to filter the air going into the engine. It needs a windshield pretty badly, but that's one of those things that'll come down the road. I need to finish sorting out the wiring for this thing, and so I've got a wiring diagram and I've started going through it. I need to install another master cylinder with a power brake booster that I've got, along with the right proportioning valve, and then once I've got that, then I can go ahead and put the front discs on. And actually, I'm not sure if I'm going to change the discs. They look like they're in good shape, the ones that are on here. I think what I might do is just put the calipers on and let the brake pads clean the caliper, just to have brakes. But I do notice that when I moved it back and forth, I do still have rear brakes. So as you can see, I'm a little frustrated, but at the same time, it's one of those things you just have to continue to tackle project after project, make a list, knock things out. And eventually we'll get to the point where this thing can be driven, can be used for its intended purpose of towing and driving and enjoying and everything else. So thanks for hanging in there with me, and thanks for your patience as we continue to work on this project. And the thing is, this project, while this project is here, I've got probably 5 or 6 other things that really need to be happening on other vehicles, as well as a complete house that I'm in the process of doing some work on. And so I'm not complaining. I'm just feeling the pressure of my own dumbassness, I guess. But anyway, that's the best way to say it. So thanks for watching. Dude, that windstorm was 3 months ago. All our leaves are turning brown. Aren't you going to get us finished cutting up and put us away so we can be burnt this winter? All I need's a head gasket and some tires, and then you can use me to get some of that grass cut down. Come on, man, you can do it.